Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Midnight's Edge. I'm Tom Connors. With me, as always, is the boss man, Andre.
Greetings, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another review of Wandavision. And we are not alone, are we, Tom?
No, we are not. Along with us today are our Toxic Femmes, Miss Reina Creole. Hello.
Hello. Glad to be here. Hope everyone's doing well.
I hope they are as well. And also joining us is Mandy. How you doing?
Like what? Hey, y'all. I hope everybody is doing great this, today's Sunday, right? Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
Hey, I know my days.
Tomorrow is Monday. And also with us is Mary. How you doing, Mary?
You know, the last 3 times I was here, Tom, you told me there would be cupcakes. And then once again, there are no freaking cupcakes. All right. I'm going to start a revolt.
Well, there was cupcakes. Then I licked all the frosting off in revenge for you licking all the Oreo cookie stuff out of the middle of the Oreo cookies. And then I just figured, fuck it, I'm going to eat them all.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
I'm going to start a revolt.
You started it.
Uprising incoming.
But yes, we are here to talk WandaVision.
Yes, and luckily we have people joining us out here in the chat. Feel free to hit that like and help share the stream, because it doesn't appear that YouTube has done a very good promoting it. We have Natasha Cloutier here, our ever-trusted wrench, which we will appreciate. Oh, she has the cupcakes. There's the cupcakes. And we also have many others in the chat. We have Jedi6, who now has something to listen to while he shovels his driveway for the next hour.
Yay!
I hear you, man.
Nice.
We got dumped on a little bit here too, man. I feel for you.
And on that note, we have a bear in the wild. So yeah, maybe they'll meet out there in the snow somewhere. Peter Hahn was actually right. We were on time today for a change. It doesn't happen very, very often, but it happens every once in a blue moon. And yes, I agree completely with Thomas Bartholdi. Thank God we are no longer talking about Star Trek Discovery. Of course we will again, because season 4 is filming. Although of this moment are not involved, so it will be interesting to see what happens there.
I cannot hear what Andre is saying, and I refuse to listen. La 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 la.
Oh, poor Tom.
Yeah. And we have some people who also have seen the new Kong versus Godzilla trailer. Maybe we'll get into that afterwards. But it appears that some of us actually are more excited about, I guess, Cobra Kai, although it's a subtle reference right there.
Well, you know what's really funny about Cobra Kai, Andre, is Entertainment, like they're doing like the promotion for this, like the show's still weekly. Entertainment Weekly just dropped a 45-minute video about the whole Elizabeth Shue episode.
I really don't understand why they didn't just make that weekly. Like it would have benefited. Netflix would have benefited tremendously if they had made it a weekly show. So.
Yeah, I don't understand why they did this way, because all the promotion for it is still rolling out. And it's like, man, I want to watch that 45-minute video now, but it's like, I don't know how well it's going to do for them, but considering the show is kind of run its course now.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. Maybe they'll listen and take a hint and do it weekly next season. So one could hope. Well, I feel like you do, like, obviously it doesn't apply to all shows. Like I feel like WandaVision should have been dropped all in one big go, but Cobra Kai would have benefited from being a weekly kind of thing, right? And you could have the chatter around it, much like Mandalorian, right? Like you have the Mandalorian chatter from week to week, and it feeds the machine. I feel like that would have been a good plan, but.
Because Cobra Kai had so many episodes. That's the difference. WandaVision only has like about, I think, 6.
Well, Cobra Kai has like 10 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
And WandaVision, I think, has 9 total.
Oh, they have 9? Okay.
Yeah, okay. So it's not that, but the WandaVision stuff, like, I like WandaVision. I don't want to like dog on WandaVision here, but a lot of the at least a lot of episode 1, 2, and 3 is sort of build up to where I think we're supposed to be going with this, and I could have done to have gotten that out of the way. So, banana.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good place for us to start, actually. Since we didn't get you ladies on here last week, let's get your quick takes on what happened last week for you guys and how you felt about the show till this week, and then we'll start talking about this episode. How's that sound, Andre?
That sounds like a great plan. And before we begin with that, we have Rob with us, the Reverend Hare Krishna. How's it going, Rob?
Oh, very good. Hare Krishna to you too. There was only one time I've actually seen Hare Krishnas, and that was in Stockholm.
Really? Yeah, actually, yeah, we have a few of the Hare Krishnas around here. We actually do. We don't have much in the way of how do I say this politically without using the word cult? We don't have many
of the devout
extra. We don't have many devout factions of the various religions, but that one is actually one that we have like some of, and they're not many, but they're very visible. Luckily, they're also very peaceful and don't really bother anyone. So yeah, good for them. Good
I mean, they were out there with the tambourines and everything. It was like,
yeah, they are absolutely.
I was like, no way.
I've seen them all the time when I used to live in LA. You go to LAX. This is before they put the security protocols in. But I was like, wow, I'm seeing real live Hare Krishnas. It's not just on the movie Airplane.
For some reason, whenever anybody brings it up, whenever I think about it, besides the Beatles or like when Karate Kid, when he's like, Hare Krishna, what he's doing with the things, is I always think of Dawn of the Dead. Because there's that one rocking around in there. I'm probably the only one who's ever seen that.
There was a Woody Allen line where he was from Hannah and Her Sisters, where he's actually exploring different fates, and he goes to a Hare Krishna and he says to himself, "Who are you kidding? You're not going to be a Krishna. You're not going to shave your head and dance around in airports." You know. So I mean, it's all right.
That's
so anyway,
though, you'll never see them at the airport here. You'll see them like in parks and stuff. And
yeah,
that's pretty much
I have to get this out of the way right away. Come on, Mary, give me a beer here, huh? All right. Let's go.
I'd be like, get one yourself, and while you're at it, get one for me too.
Right? Since you're up.
Yeah.
Before we begin, let us address the super chats and stickers that we've gotten so far, just to get caught up early. Roger Haynes, he sent us a super sticker, so thanks so much for that. And BK0271 says, "Hi all, my heart is saddened of the passing of Mira Furlan of Babylon 5 the other day. This will be the 5th person of the main cast that has passed." And yes, of course, our thoughts go out to Mira Furlan and her loved ones who are left behind.
Mm-hmm.
She was relatively young. She was, in her early 60s, I think.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is there some kind of strange connection? Like, that's odd.
Wow.
I again, I haven't done any research on it, so I don't.
No, I don't know
Other than rest in peace, and she will be missed. And she was great in everything she did, from her movies in the former Republic of Yugoslavia, where she started out, to Babylon 5 and everything in between and since.
I just think it's odd because, like, for instance, I wonder if it's something that was environmental on the set. Because Michael J. Fox said that, like, a couple of the kids that he worked with on a kids show in Canada all got Parkinson's along with him. So, that? It's kind of the weird, like, it makes you wonder if it's something environmental. Yeah.
Well, this took a dark turn.
Very.
It just makes me wonder. Sorry about that, but she will be missed.
Very.
We'll get back to the fun stuff. We got a super chat here with Wiley Coyote, Mitch Sabu, if I'm saying that right. And what did he send us, Andre?
Give me 1 second, and I shall find out. I do believe it's Mitch Thibault, since
Thibault?
it should be
there
the
you
French,
go.
French pronunciation.
Why didn't you correct me, Lorena?
I did. You didn't hear me.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. You got drowned out, evidently.
No, it's a little alien-like thingy that's lying down and working out.
Oh.
So
Are
yeah,
you trying to tell
Alien-
me I'm fat?
I was gonna say the aliens working out. You'd think they would have their energies focused more on taking the planet over. I wish
All
we
right.
could get new overlords.
Fine. I ate too many cupcakes.
be careful with what you wish for, but I'm going to leave it at that. And Hui also says for £5, thank you so much, matey. Love all your guy stuff. Keep it up, guys and girls. You're killing it at the Mo. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
And it looks like we got an answer here. E. Mark P sends in $2, says Ferlin died from West Nile, completely random. Well, there you go. That's the answer to that.
Wow.
Looks like they're just one of those bad luck kind of things. Huh?
Yeah. Well,
With the media nowadays, I'm surprised they didn't try to twist it to something else, But anyway,
Yeah,
let's not get
Yeah,
there.
seriously.
Yeah. First of all, let's get everybody's impression on the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. Let's start with you, Mandy. What did you think of the first 2 episodes that we got last week?
I thought they were good. Now I went into it with Marvel thinking superheroes. It wasn't what I expected. I loved the 50 aspect. I loved the black and white. I liked the commercials. I thought it was fun, confusing because I have no freaking clue what they're doing and where they're going with it. But I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I liked the music. It had a good soundtrack. I was into it.
All right. Yeah. Well, that was quick and to the point.
I mean, I still don't know what the crap is going on. I'm like, I have no idea what they're doing with this show. So far, though, it's good. It's entertaining.
I don't think you're alone here. Let's see what Lorena thought of those first 2 episodes.
I thought they were good. Again, I love nostalgia TV. So seeing like the 50s, 60s show, callbacks to I Love Lucy, Bewitched. I loved all of that. I like the attention to detail, everything down to the type of fashions that people were wearing. And I like the idea of the A plot being the sitcom of the week for WandaVision that you're seeing, but the B plot are these little Easter eggs that they drop in there. Like you see the commercial, for the Stark toaster, you see the commercial for the Strucker watch, you see little Easter eggs kind of scattered around, short glimpses of reality intruding, which makes you wonder what's really going on. And I love mysteries, so my hope is this build up from 1 and 2 starts to turn in episode 3, where we start seeing more of what the B plot is, to give us a hint as to what really is going on. Because right now we just kind of see there's something up, but we don't quite know what it is yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Mary.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Lorena. I loved the marriage of the sitcom and the mystery, right? And I will say this, like my brief criticism of the first 2 episodes is that it could have been longer, and they were lucky that it was a wise decision for them to release both episodes 1 and 2 at the same time in order to kind of get those out of the way. I don't know why they didn't just make longer episodes. It does feel as though there should be more going on within the episodes. That being said, I loved the marriage of those 2 types of entertainment. It's an very odd call to make, right? And it was risky, but they did pull it off. And I found myself enjoying the quote unquote A plot, right? But anticipating that B plot taking precedence, right? Like I really want to see what they're going to be doing down the line with the bleep. As much as I do think I have an idea of where this is heading, ultimately they have shown us like, okay, so this is Wanda kind of, like you said, the intrusion of reality on her reality that she has selected, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm waiting for that to break through, but they did a good job of making me anticipate that, right? Like allowing me to be immersed in the fact that this isn't real, right? It is incredibly interesting the way that they went about showing us Wanda's selection of reality, right? It's important to note that this is what she's choosing, right? Mm-hmm. Wanda chose this type of reality to live in, mm-hmm. right? This is where she selected to go. And so I think that in and of itself is important, and something that hopefully will be addressed further down the line is that Wanda chose to seclude herself in this way with Vision. And so I thought that was daring and entertaining and hopefully ultimately important. And I'm raring to go. I'm excited.
All right. Well, so you think she's in complete control of this whole thing?
No, I don't think she's in complete control. I think that she is unaware that she's in control. In regards to like, she wants this because she flips people out of her reality when she doesn't want them intruding on it, right? I think it's a sort of subconscious thing. I think Wanda's gone nuts. I think she's put herself here in a subconscious kind of way because she couldn't handle the trauma of losing Vision.
Exactly, especially at the end, near the end of episode 2, where she sees, the guy in the beekeeper outfit come out of the manhole.
Yep.
And she just says no, and you just see all this rewind action going on. So you realize it's like when she feels threatened, she alters the reality.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And I love that. I love that because it makes Wanda a more in-depth character, right? She's not doing any of this out of malice. She just wants to retreat. That's all. She's not trying to harm anyone, but she doesn't want to feel harmed by anyone. It's incredibly interesting. So, yeah.
Well,
I love Wanda.
Yeah, what I find interesting here is that last week it was pretty much all us guys talking about it, and we all enjoyed the first 2 episodes for the most part. I think on a varying level of a scale, like Andre enjoyed it probably the most.
No, I was there last week.
Oh yeah, you were there last week. That's right, Lorena. We've done so many streams this week. I don't remember which one we've been on. But yeah, so yeah, you were there last week. That's right. I'm sorry.
And I believe that Lorena was the one who enjoyed it the most. With
okay, no, I was talking about between you, me, and Rob.
Yeah. But between us 3, yes.
I think you enjoyed it the most. I was probably next, right behind you, and then Rob was kind of like, yeah, it was all right, kind of thing, like attitude of it. So bringing us to this week, Andre, what happened this week?
Well, what did happen? Well, we moved into the 70s. That's the first thing. So we are now in color vision. So that's something. And we saw in the last episode that Wanda mysteriously suddenly got pregnant. And that pregnancy, it appears to happen at an equally sudden and mysterious rate, as in that shift from the 50s to the 60s and 70s, where I guess we are right now. That happened within minutes of their time, and like no one cared. And that pregnancy also happened. Yeah, like Vision was trying to do calculations, and he figured out that the birth is gonna happen on Friday or in 3 days or something, and he was like vastly overestimating the time needed. We were introduced to some more characters in the Doctor that he had to run to get. He was going on vacation, but of course he couldn't really leave because, like the Truman Show, no one can ever really leave. Plus, we were also introduced to this brand new mystery neighbor that the other neighbors react to, because she doesn't really live there. She just kind of like popped up. She's a little bit of an intruder in some way, although no one is going to say anything. And this intruder, she could also say that, how about your brother, the one who got killed by Ultron? And so here we have some more reality intruding things at the same time as Wanda is trying to maintain a certain illusion, trying to remove things that come in and destroy the illusion of them just being normal people, like a stork that for some weird reason came walking in there, which of course is a metaphor for pregnancy, but it may be more, because this stork was seemingly immune to her powers. The only one we've seen who is that before is the Hulk.
Yeah, I think it's probably just essentially her powers being out of whack right now, because it was created by her powers. Her powers can't necessarily take it away unless she actively, consciously tries to tackle this stuff. I think because it's a subconscious problem and she hasn't attacked it in a conscious way, she can't really control it.
I think it might be a sign that she's not as in control as we think she is.
Yeah.
And on that note, it got really interesting towards the end, just to jump forward with the summary before we start digging into it, because there it looks as though she is in some kind of compound or some physical location that can be entered from outside, because there was kind of like this Matrix crossing the barrier Truman Show moment there, with the details of which I do not think we are going to be fully aware of until later episodes. But here we were certainly led to believe that there is some kind of physically crossable barrier, and someone is watching inside, which only deepens the mystery, especially for those of us who have not read the comics.
I think it's pretty apparent that it's Monica. She's representative of Shield or Sword, right? It's Monica Rambeau, right? And she's Geraldine is a rep because she had the emblem on her necklace, right? And so she gets kicked out. I think, and this is, I mean, obviously I can't prove this. We haven't gotten that far yet. But what I think is happening is that it's Sword trying to get Wanda under control, right? That this is happening, and that she started this fuss. They need her for something, and so they're attempting to break through to her into her reality, and by trying to send in agents to try to get through to her, right? Whereas Agnes, our sort of nosy little neighbor character, I think she's also separate and apart, but she's playing along with Wanda's fantasy because she doesn't actually want her to get out. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I think you are onto something, because now we're like seeing more, because there you have the Sword connection, which from my understanding, that's like Space Shield.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And that would possibly be something that Nick Fury was out there creating between the scenes between Marvel Spider-Man 2 and Captain Marvel. It would appear that he was on some kind of Sword level business, wouldn't it? So this may tie into that.
I'd honestly be surprised if we don't see Nick Fury before the end of this season, like probably towards the end of the season, as I would expect him to show up. I think that they're trying to break through to her because she's got like some Dark Phoenix crap going on right now where she's gone legit crazy. And so she's secluded herself in this way, and they need her. They need her back in the fight. And so they're just trying to get through to her right now, and Agnes doesn't want her to. I think Agnes is an antagonist, but she's invested in keeping Wanda kind of subdued in her own little way over here.
Two things to kind of add. Oh, sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Two things to kind of add in addition to that. You have to remember, like in the second episode, that helicopter, I guess that was trying to break in, that didn't quite make it. And then next thing you know, Geraldine shows up. But remember, before she introduced herself, she paused. We know that's Monica Rambeau, but that wasn't the name that she used. She paused and said, "Oh, I'm Geraldine."
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a little awkward.
Well, because it's probably
makes sense.
Dangerous. It's probably very dangerous.
Exactly. Like, I can't let on, my real name is. And that's kind of like one of the breaks when you say like the breaks in reality that you see going on, because that didn't seem like a regular conversation. You mean, you pretty much know what your name is and you're going to say it. But for her, she just kind of paused. And then it turns out, like in the third episode where you see the Sword emblem that she has on, then it's like, oh, okay, because that emblem was on the helicopter that was unsuccessful. And now she's wearing that emblem. And this may be something, it may be nothing, but when the stork was kind of walking around, did you notice the stork was pecking at her pants?
Well, the stork knows. Maybe the stork is aware.
Exactly. He was like, pecking, or I don't want to misgender the stork, but pecking at her pants and kind of trying to pull her away, like, you are not, you're not supposed to, not supposed to be here. I'm like, okay.
You get out of here, you homewrecker.
Yeah, I didn't take it that way. I saw the little fish on her pants, and I thought the stork was trying to eat a fish. So
I thought that too.
That's what I got too.
I thought it too, but I think it's I don't want to say paranoid, but kind of in a way, there's so many Easter eggs going now, just kind of is it just, typical stork behavior, or is it something else? But then when you're seeing the stork, and every time Wanda tries to disappear the stork, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's when I'm like, okay, there's something more going on.
Well, it could be, and I may be overanalyzing here, but it could be that the stork internally knew that Geraldine was from the outside and was Wanda's subconscious attempting to protect her from Geraldine, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get out of here, right? Like, I don't want you interfering with my fantasy that I have going on, right? And so anything that goes and potentially intrudes on that, Wanda's subconscious is going to fight. So. I mean, that's a like I said, that could be overanalyzing, but I think that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it absolutely, like, it reminds me a little bit of Inception, the Christopher Nolan movie, where we saw, like, in the dream world there are defenses. Your subconscious will react to, wait a minute, here's something that doesn't quite belong. And the subconscious will try to mount defenses against the incursion. I think that's kind of what we're seeing right here. Only thing that I'm not so sure about is that they're trying to get her out because they need her. I think that S.W.O.R.D. is trying to get her stop whatever Akira level business she's doing, destroying the real world. That's what my thought.
Well, that's what I mean, is that it could have any measure of impact on the real world, that they need her, whether it's that they need her to fight something or they need her to stop because she's causing havoc. It could be any number of things, but I think S.W.O.R.D. is trying to break through to her for the benefit of mankind, in whatever form that may be, right? Yeah. Because they're the good guys, right? S.W.O.R.D. is the good guys, and I really think that Agnes is a bad guy.
I think it's going to be Wanda. I think Wanda is going to end up the villain.
It's funny you mentioned that, Mandy, because I was getting that vibe to a point here too in this episode, and that's why I didn't like it as much.
Yeah, I think she is actually gonna, because I didn't read a lot of those comics. It just wasn't what I was into. But I do know that at a certain point, she does lose her mind in the comics. She does turn into the villain of the comic. So I'm guessing that's where they're going to go with it. And like, maybe she's holding all of these people hostage in this fake reality that she created because she's crazy. And I mean, that's what I think they're going to do with it. I think it would be a cool twist.
That's the vibe I was getting, Mandy. And that's why I didn't care for this episode as much. Because before I felt like she was somewhat of a prisoner of her own design, but not like she didn't realize what she was doing or somebody else was setting this up for her. Yeah. But now the more that it feels like she's in control, and that's kind of why I asked you that, Mary, is that's what you really think? Because if that's the case, I'm kind of
I don't think she's doing this consciously. And if they do cast her in the light of a villain, I would hope that it would be in a way that portrays her as an unintentional villain, right? That this is all a result of her attempt to break from reality, and in order to save her. Because like we saw it in the trailer, where Agnes walks up to Vision and she's like, "You're dead," right? Mm-hmm. And so we know none of this is real. We know that none of this is actually going down, right? So the question right now is the impact that Wanda is actually having on the world around her. I don't believe Wanda is malicious, and I don't think even unintentionally would she still deliberately allow people around her to be harmed. Just Wanda's not that type of person, right? But I do think that it is possible that you could cast her as an unintentional villain, and it's why they're trying to break through to her, to get her to realize what she's potentially causing.
And to add on to that, add on to that, something that I was paying attention to a little bit. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong on this. Near the end, when Vision comes back and he's just like, "Well, where's Geraldine?" You notice there's a shift in Wanda's behavior, her expression. Yeah. It's no longer sitcom-ish. It seems very reality-like. And she's like, no, she had to go. And you watch her hands move. And is it just me, or did the aspect ratio start to change from what you were watching?
It changed. Okay. It went from 4:3 to like 16:9.
Exactly. Totally changed. Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when I was just kind of like, okay, there's something really nefarious
Moving-
going on here.
Mhm.
Moving
Yeah.
out of the sitcom world and into the Marvel Cinematic Universe world.
Exactly.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
See, I got the impression that it was her convincing herself in that moment, that she was decidedly putting herself back into the alternate reality, right? That was where she chose to be. And so it's kind of like convincing yourself of the lie, right?
Well,
That was the impression I got.
Yeah.
I gotta ask.
I think that. Sorry, carry on, Tom.
Well, I was just going to ask Rob if he knew much about Mephisto or the whole deal that people are talking about in the chat.
Well,
'cause I know-
Mephisto is essentially Satan. in the
Well, I'd
Marvel
kind
universe.
of gotten, I kind of heard a little bit of what Yellow Flash's take was on Friday, and I was going to try and talk to him a little bit more about it, but I hadn't got a chance to yet. And
Yeah.
he's busy today, otherwise we'd have him on here. But
There was a. Well, I know there. I read a.
because I know nothing about it, so like I'm just starting to hear some of this stuff and
the
something
few-
about the twins not being real and that actually driving her nuts or something like that.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but the only times I read any storylines of Mephisto, I read there was a Silver Surfer graphic novel, which was the last graphic novel that Stan Lee ever wrote for Marvel, which is absolutely fantastic. I urge people to go out there and track it down. And then there was a plot from Secret Wars with the Beyonder, and the fate of the universe was hanging in the balance, and Mephisto was supposed to choose a champion, and he said, who shall I choose? Thor, the Silver Surfer? And Beyonder says, your champion will be Spider-Man. Spider-Man! He's just like, yeah. And he goes, because the idea was that he's more representative of humanity than anyone.
Gotcha.
So I mean, but I don't think anything with Mephisto. If anything, I keep saying this reminds me of either Life on Mars or The Prisoner. I've been trying to catch up on The Prisoner, and like I said, it's actually it's an interesting concept. The guys, somebody's supposed to be acclimated to this world, but they're refusing to be acclimated to it. And Life on Mars, like I said, bits and pieces of. Am I the only person here on the panel who's seen Life on Mars? The original BBC?
No, I've seen it.
I haven't
I
seen
know
Okay.
of it. Yeah.
I've
Okay.
never seen it.
Great series.
Yeah, bits. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Bits and pieces of reality intrude upon Sam's world when he's in a coma. He'll get a phone. The phone will ring. He'll pick it up. Sam, we're trying to bring you out. We're going to be trying. Your heart rate may go up and down. You may notice something, but you have to trust us. And there'll be like he'll walk past a billboard with something revealing about his real world existence. And so that's what's reminding me of. And I keep saying Wanda's retreated. This world that they've created for her, she's retreated into this safe sitcom-y world.
Mhm.
That's nostalgic and it's comfortable.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if we brought that up last week on this or if it was on Toxic Fem, but where talked about how when you stay home from school, what do? You sit at home and you watch like old TV that's on because that's all that's on during the day. Usually is soap operas and reruns, right? So they talked about how that was a comfort zone for her, possibly,
Mhm.
like using the old television shows. Yeah.
Screen Rant did a theory on that Mephisto may actually be there, that he might be the Dottie chick or whatever, because she was talking about how the devil's in the details.
Yeah.
True.
Interesting theory. It's an interesting theory. I don't know that I believe that it's true, but that could be interesting.
I heard another even better theory. The neighbor who goes on about like her dumpy husband who's so useless and
Agnes,
ugly and all
yeah.
of that.
Ralph?
Yeah,
I've never
Agnes.
seen
Yeah,
Ralph.
that Ralph is Mephisto.
That could be too.
I keep thinking that's Anna Gasteyer. I'm like, it looks
Bill
exactly.
Barkley said the same thing here.
It looks
Well,
like
yeah.
Anna Gasteyer.
Well, that's the thing that kind of threw me off the first few episodes, and then this one was kind of similar to that effect, and that's how the rest of the world reacts to things. It's like they're stuck there, but then, like you guys said, Monica Rambeau, they're not supposed to be there, but she's really not supposed to be there. So, kind of like how in Inception, when things aren't right, and the architect starts to get attacked because the brain structure or whatever, they start to your defenses kick in because they figure out something's not supposed to be there. And that's kind of the vibe I was getting from Monica Rambeau's character on the other characters, because even though they're stuck there, she's really not supposed to be there and she's an intrusion kind of thing. Like that's what I feel like you guys were saying before with that whole thing. But like this last episode that was kind of funny was you had the neighbor was just kind of stuck in the same place, and Catherine Hahn, is that her name? The actress?
Yes.
Those were the only two real people outside of the main cast we got to see this episode. And it was just funny how he was like stuck behind that wall there, and he was trying to like cut himself out or something like that.
And the fact that he was using hedge trimmer to cut the darn stone fence.
So,
I'm like, what the heck?
And that's where I was starting to get this vibe, like, wait a minute, if she's doing this and she's in control and she's holding these people hostage, I'm really not liking the vibe of this. So it was getting to the point where I was really starting to dislike Wanda.
I don't know that she's in complete control here, though.
I mean, I hope not. I really do, because like, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm like really getting to this point where I'm like, I don't like this character anymore.
See, I'm with you, Tom. I feel like she does know exactly what she's doing. She's doing exactly what she wants. Now, she may not know what it's doing to the actual reality while she's in here, but I think she purposely put herself in this scenario to get the things she wants, because maybe it's already destroyed out in reality, so she brought it here. And I do agree. I think Mephisto is going to show back up, and I think this has potential to be absolutely amazing if they play it right.
Well, because the thing is funny is clearly, unless she's creating that reality too, which is a whole nother level, clearly Vision is either alive or she's tapped into his memory or whatever, because he's trying to figure things out as he's going along too, and we're seeing things from his angle, and he's clearly in the loop.
Die though.
I know we did, but like he's reacting to things. That's my point. Is if he was just part of her vision and not Vision, and the actual character, I don't feel like he would be stuck in the loop with everybody else and trying to break free. Like,
but he is, but he kind of is, because you saw like the moment, because again, this could
she
be
can control him more than a
subconscious.
person. That's what I'm wondering.
Because like the moment when he was like, oh, wait a second, that was like to me the coolest moment, when he was like, wait, this is all wrong. This ain't right.
Yes.
And then suddenly you saw like Wanda was a bit like, no, getting too close to something that I'm in denial about here. Rewind and redo. So again, he's a passive player in that.
He is, but he's also trying to break free like everybody else, is my point. And then you have that scene between him and the neighbor, which she's not present at, and he's clearly the neighbor's clearly trying to tell Vision something he can't do. And that's the thing we keep seeing, is that mental block whenever somebody asks a question that they can't answer. You know what I mean?
What's weird though is that they didn't really want to get through to him, right? Like they both clammed up.
I think that was actually Wanda's, or whoever's controlling this. Like they can't, like they want to, because when they want to say it, but they physically can't say it. You know what I mean?
And I kind of agree with that, Tom, because it's like they were on one track of talking, and then all of a sudden, oh, okay, gotta go. Well, the macrame's not going to hang itself.
Why would they even be able to do that, though?
Well, because that's what we've seen, is those little moments where people have been able to break free of whatever it was for just a moment, and then and then we even see it in the trailer where there's moments too, like with Catherine Hahn's character too, where like she's like with Vision, like she's like, "But you're dead," and then she's like totally snaps out of it the next second later or whatever. Like we've seen that a couple times with these people. And that's where I'm feeling like, okay, these people, either they're subconscious or they themselves or whatever it is being held hostage in this, whatever it is. I could be wrong, but that's the vibe I'm getting from the last episode, especially.
But I think that attests to the value of the show and what it brings to the table here, right? It's like that this is a good enough show that it actually has us sitting here just talking about all of the possible avenues that this show could take and what road it may decide to go down. If it inspires this kind of conversation for us to be sitting there theorizing, that's a testament to how well the show is written.
But I don't want to be the contrarian here, but like I'm really starting to lose interest at this point. They need to give me a hook, because I'm looking at it as here we are.
On their way there.
I hope so. I hope so.
Tom, I would have to kind of agree with you on that, not to cut you off, but this is the first episode where I kind of felt my attention wandering a little bit, and I expected more exposition from the B plot side of things, and that's what I was looking forward to. And it seems like by the time they got to it, the episode was over.
Yeah, I felt like this was half an episode.
I felt differently about it completely. I felt like they were closing the chapter or closing the book on the A plot, quote unquote, and introducing us to the B plot starting to take precedent. I think this was the turning point in the show, right? That's the impression I got. I think that's why they focused so hard on it towards the end, which I would have agreed with you last week, right? Like last week, I would have said there's way too much focus on A plot and let's get to the B plot, right? But I got the impression because it focused so hard, because it hadn't done that before. The show for episodes 1 and 2 had really just gone ahead and ran with the sitcom with just a drop here and a mention there. And I was like, okay, let's move forward. This time, after the twins are born, it spends like a massive amount of time at the end there, really shifting focus to let us know that this is the direction that we are headed in now. And so if anything, it made me more interested in where we're going.
Well, maybe that's what lost me.
Because I'm not saying I'm not like less interested. It's just for me. Maybe it's just me being greedy. But I just felt like there should have been more.
Yeah,
there should have been more, and
I
for
agree
whatever
completely.
reason, that's where they cut it off. And I was kind of
feels like it was half an episode.
yes,
That's exactly what it felt
Because
like.
we only got one commercial, and none of the plot really kicks in till the last 5 minutes, and the first 20 minutes of the episode is all wasted on the pregnancy stuff, which is fine, but they don't really do anything with it outside the stork.
If we get a similar episode next week, I'll agree with you.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like, but I'm feeling like there's a large chunk of this episode that got lopped off and moved into. It was almost like this whole show was meant to only be 6 episodes, and they extended it to 9. And I say this because I give every movie and TV show, I give a TV show like usually 3 episodes before I check out, and a movie I'll give it 15-20 minutes depending on the length. I'll give it about a quarter. Okay, I give it the quarter test. And right now we're a quarter of the way into this story almost. We're a third of the way basically.
Yeah, we're a third of the way in.
And they have yet to really give us the hook here. So like if I'm watching a movie at this point, I'm really checking my watch going, okay, are you going to give this to me yet, or give me something to kind of stay on? Because you've given me the same stuff over and over again. And I get where you guys are coming from. It is entertaining, and I like the aesthetic, but I really felt like they wasted this last episode on the baby stuff that could have been done in a matter of minutes.
Well, that was one of my complaints about
did.
Yeah, that was one of my complaints about the 7 minutes of credits. We're only actually getting about like 22 minutes of actual show here.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually.
So it's incredibly short.
Yeah.
And I could do without the 7 minutes of filler at the end and the 2 minutes of opening credits, which ultimately winds up you're taking almost a third of this entire runtime and devoting it just to credits. And I am going to need to see actual episode. And so, like, I feel like, for me, I felt like this was a turning point this week, that they were starting to shift the B plot into focus. And so if that's the case, I'm hooked. If it's not the case, I'm going to continue to have the same
and you could be right, Mary. Like, this next episode may pick up things a little bit better. Because, like, I felt like they didn't really utilize the 70s aesthetic at all for this episode. They could have stayed in the 50s and nothing would have changed. Like, nothing in this episode outside of the hairstyles and the clothing
the
really mattered.
Commercial.
Yeah, like all that. Otherwise, there was nothing in this episode that made me think like, yeah, this should have been in the 70s. And not only that, they were kind of lazy with it compared to the 50s and 60s, because in that they at least made it look like, it was done on tube television, that you got the black and white business, and there was things and aesthetics that played into it that were straight out of like Lucy and Dick Van Dyke shows. Right. Like this episode just felt like, okay, we're in this place, but we're not doing anything with it. Like
Tom,
yeah, go ahead. No.
I just want to say, Tom, can you bring up that last super chat on screen again? Because I think I know exactly what's the issue here. Roger Haynes says for $5 maybe this is the end of the first act, and the second act will start with episode 4. And that Roger, I think you are entirely right.
Exactly.
Specifically because of the ending, where you saw that now the aspect ratio shifted at the same time as we went Wanda's realm, which appears to be inside of some kind of compound or bubble or something like that, and into actual reality where people are watching whatever is being broadcast. So I think that, now we're getting into the main story. As for your complaints, Tom, you are completely right, as Lorena also says, and I know exactly what they've done wrong, and that's in how they've structured it. Like we mentioned that, like for instance, that the episodes, they are really short, and they're even shorter when you take away the end credits. I remember I said last week, after the first episode, I sat through those 7 minutes of end credits, waiting first for a mid-credit scene and then an end credit scene, and nothing came. And I was like, what the hell was this?
I did the same thing.
Yep.
I was so expecting there to be something in the credits, but nothing.
No. It's just a
and that's the other thing. They don't give us a next time on or nothing like that. So this is one of those times.
And that's all good and well, but here
to
is
a
what
point.
I think that they have done wrong. Let's assume for a moment that this is right, that this is now the end of the first act.
Right, now
we have now, over the course of 3 episodes and 2 weeks, we have gotten essentially pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
The Jacob's Ladder kind of thing. The mind fuckery, and then we get like a hint towards the end there. I think that they did a bad call in releasing these 3 episodes as 3 short episodes. What I think they should have done was edit these 3 episodes into 2 45 or 50 minutes episodes and release those 2 on the same day, so that we get the hook right away. Then we get all of the Jacob's Ladder done with at the same time, and then we see, okay, now, and then the audience is hooked for when the real story kicks off in Act 2 in the week following. Instead, what they've done wrong here is that they kept the Jacob's Ladder going for 1 week too many without anything revolutionary new happening.
Exactly.
That's on them.
And this is what I'm talking about here. Robert Anderson said, if this was the end of the first act, then it's not very well structured. The nature of what is the nature of the conflict? Who are the actual antagonists and protagonists? That's what the first 2 episodes gave us. They introduced us to the world. They introduced us to all the characters. Yeah. And Robert, you could be right on the fact, but that's just what I'm thinking is we were introduced to the antagonist, and the antagonist is Wanda. That's what I'm afraid of.
Well, I think it is
the same.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rob. Go ahead.
That's all right. Now, at the same time, though, if you release too much, if you release these in 45-minute blocks, you're gonna burn the audience out.
I think this is all time I said they should have just dumped it all at once. Sorry, Rob. Go ahead.
No, but that's okay. But you're gonna, I mean, because the pacing, it's not a very fast-paced show to begin with. If you release this in a 45-minute block, you're gonna lose the audience by the end of the first episode.
I disagree.
No, listen. People don't have very, very long attention spans to begin with, and to ask them. And let's face it, there's not a lot that happens. Yeah, okay. The average sitcom in the U.S. is 22 minutes. This is running 28-30 minutes.
Yeah, honestly, that doesn't matter. This is Disney
I think
Plus,
it does.
and it's the return of the MCU. They dropped 2 episodes on one day. If they had dropped 2 45-minute episodes that told the same story as these 3 episodes that were 20 minutes each, I honestly think that they would have been better off. That fewer people would feel like Tom is feeling right now. I think that, you could get away with that 45 minutes, because here's like the thing, that when you release something on Disney Plus or whatever streaming, you can have each episode be exactly as long as they like. This is actually something that Fredrik Malmberg, the owner of Conan the Barbarian, told us in an interview with him. That for the Netflix Conan series, what was so good was that if one episode needed 55 minutes, it could get 55 minutes. Again, if another filler only needed 20 minutes, it would get 20 minutes. And if they needed 2 hours for one episode, it would get 2 hours. And this is something that I don't think that Disney has taken sufficiently advantage of, because I really think that these 3 episodes should have been 2 45 minutes.
But the thing is, they're mimicking the traditional sitcom format.
I get what Rob's saying there, but
that's the thing.
Maybe Corleone Rogue is right here, because I didn't know about this. If this is true, I didn't see this anywhere because I didn't really keep up with WandaVision because I just didn't have any interest in it until I saw the trailer. But Corleone Rogue, claims that it was originally supposed to be 6 1-hour episodes, aka probably 45-minute episodes, and they changed the format for some reason.
I agree with that. That makes sense, absolutely. Yeah. And
that's what I'm seeing
here. A mistake.
Because that's what I said. This felt like half an episode, and that first bit, the first 2 episodes were all meant to be one episode.
Mhm.
Well, and I think it's because they probably leaned, like Rob said, I think it's because they leaned into the sitcom segment,
tried to
right?
cut 'em
Because
down,
they're
yeah.
22 minutes long when you take out the credits, right? That's
Pretty
how long
close,
they are.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think they probably leaned in that too hard, and they married themselves to that concept a little too much, rather than considering the attention span of their audience.
Not
And like,
just
I get
that,
it.
they got 3 extra episodes out of it too by cutting it up.
Right, and that probably felt like a win for them. But meanwhile, you have fans who are sitting there kind of twiddling their thumbs going, okay, you've established it. We're good. And I get the need to firmly establish this reality that Wanda's created. It did need to be very firmly established, but you've established it for 3 episodes now, and we move on.
Blue Satoshi, actually, I understand where you're coming from. However, you have to take into account that we are now a culture that wants to binge everything. And drip feeding these over the course of 8 to 10 weeks is not the format people are used to anymore. They want to be plopped down on the couch, and they want instant gratification. They want the whole thing all at once.
Yeah. And I disagree with this a little bit because they had the aesthetic as far as the sets and the camera angles, but they did nothing with the picture. It looks like digital. Even the glitch where she rewinds was like a digital glitch, and shows at this time were shot on film. They were either shot on 16 or 35 millimeter for the most part. Like,
you see like that graininess when
exactly, you get the grain, you get a lot of the scratching and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, they were switching over to video, which is another thing.
The neighbors over the hedge, the neighbor with the hedge clippers or whatever, his background was CG. That wasn't a real set.
I think it was they were trying to make it look like like one of the fake backgrounds on like the Brady Bunch set, but it didn't look right. Yeah, you're right.
CG, yeah.
But the other thing too, like I said, we live in a binge culture, and attention spans have shortened over the last.
No, I agree with you, Rob,
30 years
because it did feel like nothing happened in this last episode until the last 2-3
Tom,
minutes.
I always point to what does Homer say when he's staring at the microwave? Come on, hurry up!
Right, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. It was just kind of dull. But I agree. I've seen people in the chat speaking on the fact that, at a certain point in the comic, she actually, trades her, makes a deal with Mephisto to have these babies so Vision can come back. So I do agree. I think the first act is over. I think in the next episode, I think we're going to get Mephisto is going to show up. I think there's going to be a big deal with the babies, and I think it's going to really pick up. But I do think they may have ran off quite a few watchers on dragging this out, because we want superheroes, we want action, we want fight, we want more than what it's given right now. You gave us 2 and we liked it, but by the 3rd episode, I want to see something happening. I want to see some action. I want something. Give me
we
something.
need a clearly defined antagonist. And I hope Mary's right. Yeah, I hope Mary's right that this is just we're just leading into something better. That
this is supposed to lead into the multiverse, though. That's the thing. And this is, and the whole thing is, but the only thing, Mandy, I'm afraid we're going to get Roseanne next.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, we got the 80s first, I think, which is Family Ties. But
I'm complete. Yeah, we've got
Family Ties. Yeah.
My interest in that, though, is at this point, I think they're going to let it just be the aesthetic moving forward and focus more on that like I said, that B plot. I'm completely comfortable with them continuing the aesthetic of this particular generation for this particular segment, but I need them to focus in on the B plot. I need to figure out what the heck's going on.
That's where
I think that their problem so far, because I think that the comment here that it was 6 1-hour episodes was 100% dead on. And then I absolutely believe that they made a call that we're going to extend this into 9 episodes, because that way people will be watching this for 3 episodes more. This seems like the kind of decision that someone who is not creative but higher up and worried about salvaging Disney, like Bob Chapek, absolutely would do. I think that in so doing, they have sacrificed the pace, because then the pace is all out of whack when they do that.
Yes.
I was having a conversation on my Discord last night with one of my friends over there, and they were like, "I'm gonna wait, right? Like I keep hearing that it's good, but I don't want to pay for 2 months worth of Disney Plus to watch the show." And that's exactly what they're banking on, is that they can drag you out for a few extra weeks, get an extra 3 weeks worth of Disney Plus out of you. That's a month's payment right there, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. It's good business planning in terms of like if you have the content that functions correctly for it, but this wasn't made to be that way, and you can tell that in the way that it was executed.
And I gotta address this. I know you wouldn't see scratches now when they do digital scans of 35 millimeter because they actually clean them up. But if you were alive and you watched TV at that time, what was it, Rob?
Oh yeah.
Scratch pops everywhere, man. Because
Scratch pops, burn marks occasionally.
everything. Yes, you got to see all that lovely shit. Because nowadays with digital, you can clean it all up. But yes, you're right. 35 millimeter does have more resolution than technically digital does. Well, 8K, it's arguable. But anyway.
they would take the best copy and they would transfer it to 2-inch videotape. Actually.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and then in syndication, those transfers would then get retransferred again. So that's where you usually get the scratchy.
Well, that's where you get all the color fade and stuff like that. Yeah. Slightly, but.
Yeah, I see what they were trying to do is make it look like that, and they did, but it still looked modern. It didn't look like old, like it used to with the bad film and all of that. It looked like they were trying to make it look like that, but they didn't go all out to do it. Which I'm
only bitching about is because they did such a great job with the first 2 episodes. That's the only reason I'm upset about it, because they did a great job of giving
such a good job.
That kind of fuzzy look of the old classic black and white shows that were pretty much done on the different kind of film stock with the 16 millimeter and the old cameras and stuff and how it looked. And they didn't add the scratches then, which they should have technically, but I get it. But since you're just going color here, you needed to add something else to the aesthetic, because otherwise I just feel like I'm watching something that's remastered. So
it looked like the new, like it's not new now, but like when I was a kid, they did that Brady Bunch movie, and that's what the set reminded me of with the 90s Brady Bunch movie.
I get what you're saying. It's too clean. Too
clean. Yeah, too sanitized. It's too pristine looking.
But
it doesn't have that grit of 70s TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And again, I don't hate the show. I'm enjoying it so far. But anyhow, like that's just kind of minor bullshit, just stuff I'm griping about. But anyhow, let's move on to some super chats, Andre, because I know we got.
Yes, we have a few right here. Comic book steals and deals. I won't be able to bring all of these up on screen, by the way, so you just have to listen carefully. Comic book steals and deals says, I love Wanda, but enjoy the spoiler shows much more. Oh, thank you. That's kudos to the panel for that. And
I give a compliment.
Daryl Brewer says for $5, thank you so much. Do you guys and gals think this will be Marvel and Disney's way of bringing in the X-Men?
I think they'll touch on it with it. I think they'll touch on it with it. I think this is a toe into the water. I don't think it'll like flesh it out with this, obviously, but I do think it'll stick a toe into the water with this.
I agree with Mary. I think they're testing the water a little bit right now, trying to see if I think they will at some point. Yeah,
I agree. It's just trying to bring out a little bit of a connection with the X-Men. Probably not a deep dive, just enough to make that connection with them.
Yeah. Which is probably a good idea at this point, because they've still got a long way to go before they can actually put anything out there with that.
You'll hear. Oh yeah, there's a guy. He lives on Gray Malkin Lane. Though, what's his name? Professor something or other.
Yeah, right. The minute they drop that Easter egg, everybody's gonna lose their minds.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that's still watching, unless the pacing has turned them off completely.
They've already said that there's the Fantastic Four's in development. Don't be surprised if you hear, go see this guy in the downtown, the Baxter Building. What's his name? The guy with the gray hair, around the temples. Wife disappears. Yeah, go see him.
I think they're
Okay.
going to introduce the Fantastic Four probably more through Hank Pym and shit, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm much more excited about Doctor Doom anyway. But that's
Well,
me.
hopefully he's the big bad leading into what's his face?
Kang,
No,
Mephisto,
no.
Nightmare,
The fart cloud from Fantastic
Galactus.
Galactus, yeah.
Fart cloud.
All movies, for some reason, all superhero movies, if it wasn't shit shooting in the sky, it was turning into a fart cloud. Do you think I'm kidding? Watch them. They all are. Hulk, that.
I just wasn't expecting you to
Ninja Turtles.
describe it like that.
No, I can't get that out of my head now.
No, I'm gonna say that and think now every time I see it, I say, "Oh, look, it's a fart
Green
cloud."
Lantern.
Cloud.
Ronnie ruined everything for Mandy.
Right?
Well, I was so into the Hulk, and then all of a sudden his dad turns into a big fucking fart cloud. I'm like, what the fuck is this? How is Hulk going to fight a fart cloud?
Nobody can send the chibi, the little chibi dog that has the little hearts floating up behind it because then Tom is like, "Oh, it's farting hearts at you." Why is everything
It's farting hearts? Maybe
I can also relate one story from the behind the scenes of the Fantastic Four. All iterations of it. One of the things that they always struggled with the Thing is how to refrain from making him look like the Golgathan poop demon, because
from Dogma, yeah.
Wow.
Which I'm sorry, I still say is one of the most inventive bad guys ever. The Golgothan shit demon. Come on.
So yeah, but really they struggle with that. They went through like 30 different iterations before like, yeah, okay, fine. Now finally he looks like Rock in all lights and all shades and everything. Because that was a genuine problem they had. Getting back on track.
Yeah, Aunt Rand says that Doom is said to be in Black Panther 2 as a fart cloud.
Go back and watch that movie again.
Oh man. Oh god.
Oh, well, in Ninja Turtles, we get both shit shooting in the sky and a fart cloud from it.
Now all I can see in my mind is that shit demon. Ugh.
Oh, I love that movie. I'm sorry. You know what's sad is that the script for Dogma is even better than the movie was.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
There's like 40 some minutes of deleted scenes and storylines and stuff because they didn't have any money to do it. So yeah.
That's sad. At least we got the shit demon though, right?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't make him cut that out. But anyway, going on with super chats, Andre.
Yes, moving on from there. Silver Nova says for $5 thank you so much. I spoke to a younger person I know the other day about WandaVision having similarities to the Dick Van Dyke show. He thought I was swearing.
Wow. This is the world we live in today. It's a day in our society. Wow.
I can see where Silver's coming from.
Yeah, I can too. That's what's so funny.
Exactly. And moving on from there, Oilers Workshop sent us $20. So thank you so much. That again, that gives us light for a few more days. And he says, for the best legitimate comic book based breakdown of what all of the Easter eggs are, go and watch Very Gary Comics live streams from the last 2 Saturdays. 4 respected YouTubers break down all of it direct from the comics. Seriously great. So yeah, in case you didn't get that, that's Very Gary Comics live streams. So
and we don't. Yeah, we try to say up front, like, we're not real familiar with the comics. Like last week, I flat out said I was not even aware of Vision that much or Wanda really until the comics or until the movies, until outside of if they had any kind of appearances in cartoons, maybe.
Same here.
And I don't deny that. Rob has a little bit deeper knowledge Andre too for the most part. But like, yeah, I mean, I just again, I'm enjoying the show so far, and I did try to get some people in here who have a little bit more comic knowledge this week, but no, if they do a great job, check them out.
Yeah. Wanda and Vision evidently are very, very obscure, let's say, in the bigger scheme of things where comics are concerned.
I mean, I've heard of them, but like, yeah, they weren't like
they're not really obscure. They were Avengers in the 80s, but I mean, that's
what I mean. That's
but they
were B players, you know.
Exactly, they weren't as well.
I think B players is being generous, but
Wanda, Vision, and freaking what do you call Black Knight and Star Fox were on the team back then. I mean, that's and most people associate the name Star Fox with a video game.
Okay, I think that calling them the B players is extremely generous to them. I mean, we're like the C, D, and E team down here.
Well, we refer to in America, we refer to them as the practice squad. Yeah, the team that the real the prac team in practice that the real team goes up against.
So, I was gonna say I would refer to them as meat shields.
I would refer to them as bench warmers.
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't a comic that I am very familiar with, and they were like the guys I hung out with were New Mutants and Preacher, and
Preacher.
It wasn't so much of this, but I am enjoying it so far. So
I wasn't into really Wanda and Vision. I was more into the X-Men comics, so I knew of them, but it wasn't like, wow, they're featured. I got to get that issue. Nah.
Right. Well, and part of the reason why we wanted to get more of a female perspective on this show is obviously the show is a bit more female driven. On top of it, obviously plays more to the type of entertainment that women generally gravitate towards. And do you guys think that is the case with this, or do you think this is just typical Marvel fare? Because that's one thing a lot of people have pointed out is that this is, something that's refreshingly different. Is some of the ways I've been hearing it.
I love the marriage of the sitcom.
I would agree. Yeah. The whole thing with you see the relationship play out between herself and Vision. That type of relationship plot, that's something that a majority of women glom onto. Case in point, soap operas make all their money off of plots like this.
Well, and it's like everybody forgot that women enjoy this stuff, right? Everybody seemed to forget that women actually enjoy we pride ourselves in our relationships. And obviously, this is a generalization. It doesn't apply to every single female in the world. But women are relationship driven, right? And so we are able to relate to Wanda a bit more in that way, something that we've been deprived of in media and entertainment for a long time because there are so many feminists out there reading about how you can't portray a woman in that way because it somehow diminishes her strength, right? And so it's refreshing to be able to see Wanda functioning because even if she is going crazy, this is based off of the fact that she lost someone she loves, right? And so she's
two people actually, but yeah.
So yeah,
which we didn't even touch on that.
Yeah, before we touch on that, let's get back to some more of the super chats. And then we can touch on plenty stuff afterwards. So yeah, Mr. Tickle Trunk, he sent us a super sticker of a little cuddly foxy kitty or something like that. So thanks so much. Hui says 4 or 5 British pounds. You can't tell the quality by that no one has said House of M yet. Keep that up. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see the House of M, whatever they're doing with it. I never read it.
All I know is that I think there's going to be I know for sure there's going to be like a wine commercial or whatever, and the vintage is it comes from the House of M. That I know.
Yeah,
because that was in the trailer, I think.
I don't know. I've never read House of M, so I have no idea.
People keep bringing it up. Like I said, so yeah.
Yeah. And Tim Riggs says for $20, thank you so much. And he says, can't stay for the stream, even though I could listen to Mandy talk about movies and TV shows all day long, but saw y'all were live and I wanted to drop some money in the tip jar. Keep it up, y'all. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
And just a reminder, all these lovely ladies do have their own channels, and our lovely Wrench has been sharing the channel to their channels links in the chat. All like right here, Natasha just shared Mandy. There you go.
Natasha.
I can't
she's
be the
doing
only
great.
person who just got completely cracked up by Andre saying y'all, right?
Kind of reminded me of Hans Gruber saying, "What is that you said? Yippee-ki-yay."
Well, y'all know I can't do accents. Tell you what.
Grew up watching too much TV.
That was fun.
So yeah. And Freak with the Basket.
Roy Rogers myself.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
Freak with the Basketball, it says, for your information, Bruce Campbell was in Congo.
God, thank you so much for that.
Jane Theory says sends a $4 super sticker with like a little thing presenting a cup of coffee, I guess. So thanks so much.
Thanks,
And
Katie.
BK0271 has 2 super chats back to back. First one, he's for $5 Canadian is Wanda is grieving and created this alternate dimension bubble, but doesn't realize what harm it is causing outside the bubble. She is not a villain.
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of looked
hope
like
so.
that. I hope
Yeah,
so. I have to ask,
agree with
do you know this for a fact, or is this speculation, or is it based on a comic or something? Let us know in the chat, because I am curious.
I'm
I
getting
know.
called out by a woman here in the chat. She's like, "Please, Tom, tell us what show." That's why I was asking the ladies.
I wanted to say really quick, I know when I reviewed the trailer for WandaVision, one of the things that I brought up about Wanda distorting or creating this reality is that you have to remember she saw her lover die twice.
Mm-hmm.
She had to kill him the first time because he begged her to do it. And then the second time, Thanos resurrected him and killed him again and took the Infinity Stone. So you have to wonder what that did, to her.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Imagine
Put yourself in those shoes for like 2 seconds and imagine watching your mom die or your dad die or your spouse die. And then you have to do it the first time, like you were saying, Lorena, and doing that again, right? Imagine being in those shoes for 2 seconds. That would literally drive anybody crazy.
Well, we have another part here is that let's remember she's lost not just Vision, she lost her brother and her parent all vicariously at the hand of Stark.
Right.
Yeah, Wanda's been through some shit, man. And we always tend to dismiss the brother thing because it happened back in Ultron, so it was a long time ago.
Well, right.
Movies never really went over it or discussed it. We never really got to grieve with her for him. And so I feel like that gets dismissed a lot. But yeah, Wanda's and
this is like off key, but it gets dismissed in my opinion because they kind of wasted the character. They set up a death that didn't happen, and they do what really bad TV episodes is, and that is they play this up like this week on whatever a very important character will die forever, and it's somebody they introduce just to kill. And that's pretty much what they did to Pietro, is they introduced him to kill him. Like, it's like, okay, if this was the third movie he was in, then it would have had some impact, because the whole thing was they were setting it up for Hawkeye to die. And then the subversion was, oh no, it's actually going to be Quicksilver.
Well, I think that they relied a lot on people's knowledge of the character from the comics and from X-Men and things like that. I think they relied.
That's not Wanda's fault. That's the storyteller's fault. Again, I'm not. Yeah. So yes, she as a character is, has lost her brother at the hands of Ultron, lost, her family at the hands of a Stark bomb. I mean, there's a lot here that she hasn't really dealt with. You're right.
Sorry,
who was like the one who got like the brunt of Thanos' proper boss moment, as we said, like when he killed Vision twice. Actually, first she killed him. It was like this great emotional sacrifice. And she knew it had to be done. And then Thanos was like, "You don't have my permission to die just yet." Basically, just
Yeah, I think that fucked with her more than anything was her having to pull the trigger herself, basically, and then not having that control the second time.
I'm sorry, Tom, not to over talk you, but the Akasara said in the chat, you're also forgetting Wanda herself actually died, and that should add to even more baggage trauma.
True.
Yeah, because she went bye-bye after the Thanos snap as well.
Yep, she did. And maybe that put a few screws loose in her head, just emphasizing.
Yeah, and of course they mentioned her brother in this episode, and that's when she kind of turned on Monica Rambeau's character, because that was disrupting her little fantasy, obviously, as you guys pointed out before. And then, so I think that's going to play in it. And then the actor is returning in this show, but he's not playing that character. So I think that'll be an interesting, weird thing with the multiverse, that or they're doing some kind of misdirection. What do you guys think on that?
Oh, I think it's a wonky idea, honestly, to not have him. You're talking about Quicksilver, right?
Yeah, Aaron Taylor, or whatever.
Yeah, from the X-Men movies. I think that's really, really weird.
No, not the X-Men movies. It's Aaron Taylor Johnson or whatever his name is, who played him in Ultron. He's in the show.
Really?
But he's listed as a different character, if I remember right, on IMDb. But I was wondering if you guys think that's a misdirection, or if he's going to be playing a different character from somewhere in the multiverse.
I don't know.
I would imagine that's a misdirection, because you can't really have him play a different character unless they go about it that Wanda is doing something wonky.
That's what people had suggested, is that he's playing a different character, but he looks like him, and he's technically whatever, but from a multiverse. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if that were to happen, Wanda would probably, in her little fantasy, force him to be her brother.
Yeah, I think it might be a misdirection. Is that what you guys think, all of you?
I think it's a misdirection.
Yeah, I agree.
Andre, what do you think? And then we can get back to Super Chats.
Andre.
Andre's got to step. Yeah,
he had to deal with something. Okay, no problem. Oh, so yeah, I guess that was a good place for me to ask that. What do you think, Rob? Do you think he's gonna? If it's just a misdirect, or what do you think it is?
Yes.
You liked it better than Cats. You'll watch it again and again.
Exactly.
But what can it be other than a misdirect, right?
Right.
I mean, you can't bring this character back and shove him in as something else, someone else, without everybody getting completely jarred and thrown into just like, okay, this doesn't work for me, right? I think that's a really sloppy attempt at a misdirect, and so you're going to wind up having maybe I don't know if she'll be like reliving moments or trying to simply insert him back into the reality. Like, oh, brother comes over to visit for a day or whatever, it has to be a misdirect.
Oh, and David might be right here. Maybe he's just listed as his sitcom character. That could be. I didn't think of that.
Just like Geraldine, yeah.
Yep, just like Geraldine. Yep.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, that would really make her snap.
Yeah.
It's her doing. While we got this one, I can get this super chat since Andre is away for a moment. Michael Gonzalez says Cap, Wanda, Pietro, and Clint were the Avengers in the mid-'60s after the others quit in the first breakup in Avengers #6 for a while. Well, there you go. I did not know that, but I do know that I did know they were part of the Avengers. That I did know. And then we got one from Thunderstorm that says Stark and Shield and Sword are villains as well. Just my point of view. Well, yeah, see, Stark is a very complicated character. I mean, he's trying to atone for the sins of his father's past and his own past, at least in the version that we know in the movies. I know the version in the comics a bit different. I mean, he has his moments both ways, because, it's pointed out to me all the time that, Peter Parker is not the biggest fan of Stark in the comics and stuff like that.
Well, and from a certain point of view, Thanos is the good guy, right?
Well, if you think about what he's trying to do, if he's right, but it doesn't, of course, then you can sit there and argue with it that it doesn't make sense. But no, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Wanda needed a Hydra soak. Yeah, I like that.
And then Thunderstorm says Wanda needed a Hydra soak after episode 3.
Can I just tell you about that commercial? I was like, oh, Calgon. Okay, where's the Easter egg? Where's the Easter egg? Where's the Easter egg? And I went straight and looked at the packaging that looked like the little Hydra and totally missed that the title of the product was called Hydra Soak.
Hydra Soak, yeah.
I was like, okay.
But I hope these commercials amount to something.
Well, I think
because otherwise that's going to be a complete waste of time. Right? They're funny with lips, but these need to amount. These commercials need to amount to something.
I think they totally are. If anything, the commercials are the things I've gotten some of the most out of. Like, the last one you could interpret it many ways, between the bomb and the fact that, you could look at Vision is basically one of Stark's toasters, fancy toasters. And then the other bit, I think it all plays into between her brother and Vision, and if not, all that kind of stuff.
And they're getting more and more on the nose for each passing spot. Which is also telling.
Yeah, and I think this last one was directly how she was feeling. Yeah, sorry.
Exactly, with like erasing your memory and just letting all your troubles take you away with this Hydra soak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and every time Vision, or somebody kind of mentions something she doesn't want, she resets everything. So, yeah, it makes sense. Just
we think it's her. Take
a break.
I'm going to stress this again.
It has to be, though, right? Who else could it?
I agree. It has to be. Yeah, she's the one that's doing it, but we don't know the details of what and why yet. So there's obviously more to it. But yeah, I think that she has a level of control that can't be explained with anything else. But it'll be interesting to see as we get more into it. But yeah, we see more and more that the illusion is breaking. So I absolutely think it's be interesting from next episode onwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the next one's when it's going to really, really pick up, and things, they may fool me and it may not, but I'm thinking the next one is when they're really going to pick them up and it's going to start coming together and making sense.
I hope where they're going. Needs to.
Yeah, Jason brought this up too, and I kind of thought that too. The Hydra soak, is that brainwashing?
I agree. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Just forget everything and lay back. Yeah, that's what I got from it too. Was I was thinking,
and that's where I was starting to wonder if she's really in control as we think she is.
Mm-hmm. So I think she is. I think she is very much in control. I think she's crazy. Yeah. I think she's crazy. I think she's lost it. But I think she is in control of this world she has created for herself.
Yeah, indeed. Let's do a couple of more super chats. We were at BK0271, and his second one for another $5 Canadian was Andre. You said you're going to watch The Last Starfighter, but have you seen The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai? Who all has seen Buckaroo Banzai? So, ladies,
I have not. I've heard of it. I guess the tagline, wherever you go, there you are. But I've never seen the movie.
Yeah. As for me, I have it but I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list to do, along with some other classics that I still haven't seen yet, alongside The Last Starfighter.
I have not seen it since I was a kid. But I do have the recent Shout Factory Blu-ray. But I've got to kick Andre in the butt for never seeing Starfighter. We got to make you watch that, and we actually have to do, even if it's on Mead. We got it because Starfighter comes all the time on Mead. At least once a week or better, Rob. Right?
Oh, Last Starfighter. Oh yeah,
all the time.
That sounds like a fantastic watch party.
And that is the one movie I wouldn't mind seeing them pick up and actually rebooting it, because there's so much in that universe that's left unexplored.
Basically, yeah. Whether it's even whether it's a revival or a reboot, I'd be on board. I think we both agree on that.
Yeah. And moving on from there, Blue Satoshi said that the average sitcom's episode 22-minute runtime was because the networks gradually shoved in more and more ads over the years. It's not a matter of attention span, which I believe an Oilers Workshop says 100% Marvel is losing the non-hardcore comic readers and regular fans are getting left behind. Watching everyone's streams, this seems to be the case. And yeah, I think that they really screwed the series by changing it from 1 hour episodes to half-hour episodes. Mm-hmm. Really did a number on the pacing.
I think they did it just to stretch it out. I really do. And I'm
curious, absolutely. That's why they would do it. And it would have been a corporate call.
If they're going to actually give us any ratings on this or not, because I mean, Netflix has been reporting their ratings now. Nielsen has actually been reporting them. We're getting an idea of, certain things like that. I'm curious if Disney's going to start, because they've been claiming Mandalorian is, this huge thing. Let's see some numbers. And I'm curious how this weighs up against that.
And Mr. Another asks, Tom, do you think Wandavision will end in a fart cloud?
Yes. It will. Sadly.
And on that note, Hillis Mallory says, "Thanks, Tom. The thought of a fart cloud. Now I can't finish my ice cream."
You can tell the few people here who have never been listening to Mead, because this is I brought that up a few times about the park club.
And this one I think you dealt with already, Michael Deitch. What's up with the Hydra references in the ads? Actual Hydra name and logo and the dial in the wristwatch ad.
I think he has to be involved in some way.
The real world's intruding upon her dream world.
I think it's simply a matter of her being traumatized because Hydra were the ones that triggered her powers to begin with, and it wasn't in a pleasant way.
Oh no! They basically tortured them into it. Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good take, actually.
Yeah. And here's a good one for discussion. Matt G says for $5, if they move into the 2000s era, is it gonna be our real life or MCU's real life? If they live in a 2008 sitcom fantasy, did Iron Man happen? What did you think about that with all of this reality bending?
That's a good question. From the trailers, the best assessment I can come off of is that we won't see reality, which would be the MCU reality, until she comes out of whatever this is.
Yeah.
Because she keeps hopping through shows is what the basic concept
and this is all clearly after the snap, right? And after
I think so. Because with the whole we're left to assume that because the trailer, what's her face?
Chelsea's dead. Yeah.
Yeah, she's dead.
And it couldn't be happening with Wanda gone, but snapped away or whatever, because she has to be here to bend the reality in the first place. So this all has to be going down, just at least within the past few years.
Yeah, I think this is going to lead us. That was the thing is, like, a lot of people are like trying to figure out what's upcoming, and I brought my little theory to the table about why they've been talking about Steve Rogers coming back and all that kind of business. I do feel like we might be leading up to this idea of what happens when he puts back all the stones and what kind of ramifications that has, and I'm sure that's going to play into the multiverse as well and stuff like that. So I do think Captain America is going to be back. I don't think he was never not going to be back. I just don't. I think that people just assumed, but I could be wrong on that as well. But we lost Andre for a moment here, so I'm going to grab this super chat, or the ones we got on screen anyway. This show will end with Wanda's mind fracturing so badly she fractures reality, bringing about the multiverse, says Mark C. That could be true, and that could be where Doctor Strange comes in and he has to try and fix everything. Like everything's out of control. That's a very good possibility. And Mark C also added that this is all Wanda. Vision and the babies aren't real. You're probably
right. In the comics, the babies are real. So I hate to see the babies gone. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want them.
Well, it may lead into that story with Mephisto, where like if they aren't real, then she wishes they were, and then she makes the deal and whatnot too. That could be. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but a lot of people have that. They're questioning whether or not they're real. And Stuart Shields says there seems to be a battle for control of what going on in there. Wanda herself versus someone else, while Sword is trying to infiltrate to save Wanda.
I agree. I think it's Agnes, because we know Agnes is what was it, Salem? Is that her name? She's that witch, right? And so, or at least that's what she is in the comics. And so she actually mentored Wanda for a while, if I remember correctly, and then Wanda killed her because while her intentions were good, her methods were really, really destructive. And so I think that Agnes is probably trying to keep Wanda stuck in there, and Sword's trying to break her out. So that's what I think.
Then Thunderstorm said, "You guys are a bit hydrophobic."
Oh,
Are you back yet, Andre? No. Okay, because I can't get to any more super chats, unfortunately, and I know we're going to be running out of time.
Oh yes, we can. Because
Well, we've caught up with some of the super chats on the back end, but we still got to catch up in between here, and then we're going to start losing people here soon because Lorena's got to leave shortly.
Yeah, but we can finish up soon. Michael Gonzalez says for $5, Cap, Wanda, Pietro, and Clint were the Avengers in the mid-60s after the others quit in the first breakup in Avengers 6 for a while.
Okay, I got that one. So maybe we are caught up then.
And then you have the two from Thunderstorm.
I believe so. Yeah, what were they? Real quick.
Stark and S.H.I.E.L.D. and S.W.O.R.D. are villains as well, just my point of view, and Wanda needed a Hydra soak after episode 3. Yeah, then we're caught up.
Yeah, unless there's any of the super chats you wanted to address then yourself, Andre, I think we can probably start to wrap things up.
Yes, indeed. So if you caught everything else that came in between, then perfect. Yeah,
I
then
think so. Everybody, quick, let us know in the chat if we missed one of your super chats. But I believe I caught up on the other end. So because I just as they popped up while you were gone, I was just grabbing them.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Yeah. Any final thoughts on this episode and excitement for the next one?
I think it's going to kick up. I think we're at that turning point, and I'm really looking forward because I am incredibly interested in this B plot. Right, I'm insanely excited to see what's actually going down, if any of the predictions are correct. Like, and to kind of dive into Wanda's mental state here, because that's inevitable at some point. And so I am incredibly excited to see where we go from here. I will be incredibly upset if as Tom says, they're still doing this whole focus in on the that means okay, you've established it, we get it, we're good, let's move forward. I'm excited for that.
And I guess we did miss one from Mark C real quick, Andre. I did get the last two from him, so it would probably be one somewhere in between there.
Yeah, okay, that would have been for $5. He said, go back to the LARP 80s and read Avengers West Coast, Vision Quest, and Darker Than Scarlet. The foundation of this plot is all there.
There you go.
I have like about 2 or 3 West Coast Avenger comics that I haven't read in ages. So I may have to go back and check. See if I have.
I read West Coast Avengers from issue 1 to issue maybe about 12 and just fell out of it.
Yeah, I lost interest really quick.
And then
I can't even remember if I read those ones or not.
I'm talking about the 80s version, not the modern version of.
Same here.
Hawkeye, Mockingbird, Tony Stark was it Tigra, whatever her name was.
Tigra. I know that Tigra was part of it.
And then was there other super chats around there? Max Relax says we missed one.
I cannot see that we have received anything from Max Relax. So just put it on screen. But I cannot see that we have received anything from Max Relax.
There was actually a funny moment in West Coast Avengers. Well, she was going. I forgot what reason why Tiger was walking up and down L.A. Some guy, some like sleazy Hollywood guys. Hey, babe, what's going on? She was apparently in heat because her animal instincts were kicking in. She goes up and she plants a kiss on the guy, and she walks away. He's like, not bad. And he's going, oh my God, what a rough tongue. So, I thought it was funny.
No, that's funny.
All right. What was the next one after that, just to be sure for my own sanity?
After which one after
Mark
what?
C, the one you just read.
After that one was Thunderstorm, who said you guys are a bit hydrophobic, and before that was also Thunderstorm, who said Wanda needed a Hydra soak after episode 3.
Then we're good.
They were the ones surrounding Mark C.
I just wanted to be sure for my own peace of mind. And Mark C says again with a super chat, thank you so much. This was the late 80s, John Byron.
That sounds about what I have. So let me. I can't wait to go check my stash after this.
This has been fun. Until next time, I think we should wrap this up. Do check out Mandy's channel, Lorena's channel, and Mary's channel. Our lovely wrench, Natasha, has been sharing their links all throughout the show, so you can grab those there. So we appreciate it if you check their channel out. You might enjoy their content. And Rob also has a channel as well, The Only Robot Shlomo on YouTube. We also have a few channels of our own. We have the Archive, Midnight's Edge After Dark, and stuff like that. So check those out too. And thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else anybody wants to add before we check out?
Yeah, I would like to add that be sure to check back tomorrow, because then, first of all, we have our live show, and I do believe we have a guest ready already, don't we, Tom?
Yes, I believe Michael from Retro Blasting is joining us tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, we will have Az from Heels vs. Babyface. And on Friday, we have Lauren Chen returning. So there you go. That's our stacked
Awesome.
week.
Nice.
And Max
And
Lex
also-
did send one now.
Staying, and he says, "I'll send it now, then, before it's too late." Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you so
for,
much,
for
sir.
the support.
Or ma'am. I'm assuming it's a sir. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
And also tomorrow you can watch the all these lovely ladies again on Toxic Femininity, and I'm sure that's going to be a blast with everything that's been going on in the last few days. And we have another scripted Star Wars video coming for you before long.
Soon, hopefully.
And then, of course, there's a Kong versus Godzilla, so maybe we'll do something with that before long as well.
Yes, I watched that trailer.
I did too.
It was good, but they're still putting too many people in my monster movies, even in the trailer.
I gotta watch the trailer.
It wasn't so bad, but I don't know. I can see some of the same problems that I had with the last movie creeping into this one. So we'll see. We'll see. Mothra, why did you say that name?
Why'd you say that name?
All right.
Oh gosh.
Take care, everybody, and take care of each other. We will catch you on the flip side. Thanks for joining us for our WandaVision round.